Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with episode 71 of Omi is My Homie with one of my co-hosts, Crypto Rain, and our other co-host, Dr. Stuff, will be here in a minute. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Have I told you how much I love roast beef?
Not yet.
It is 35 grams of protein for 210 calories, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. This is so good. I've just been eating it all week. It's my new obsession.
Yeah, that's a great way to lose weight. Gain muscle, plenty of protein for muscle, not a lot of extra calories.
I'm in. I get a I've been pretty good this month. I haven't had a drink since August 30th, and I have been in a caloric deficit ever since. I can't do too much exercise yet. I can definitely walk, and that's cool. But yeah, I can't wait to really start getting back to the gym. Can't wait. What about you, Mister? Do you measure your arms? Do you measure the pythons that are your biceps?
No, I have no idea what they are.
Oh, you should. You gotta. I mean, is that like your goal, or are you just like, I want to be healthy and just getting bigger arms is just a side effect of that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be healthy, go to the gym, feel good.
I have not. Well, I think they were like 16.5-inch arms when I was in 2016. So I was like 25. That's the biggest I've ever had it, though. I feel like what gets measured gets improved, and I feel like you would be.
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like, well, we should do a calendar when we all get into really good shape.
Doc's getting into great shape fast. So
better than both of us there. Yeah.
Shoot, I'm gonna have to work my butt off to try to keep ahead of Doc. He's made massive gains.
Yeah, we're very jealous of that.
Wait, what's happening?
We're gonna try to do an Omi homie calendar at some point, but we need to get on your level.
Let's go, man. Yeah, I've been this year has been pretty epic as it relates to self-care, man. Definitely, man, I've dropped like probably 37 pounds of fat and probably put on, I don't know, 8 to 10 pounds of muscle.
Damn.
Yeah, in like, I guess 9.5 months. It's been good. It's been good. And I still got a little bit left to go. I got to work on the chest a little bit more and the abs in the next 5 weeks before I go on this epic trip. So,
oh yeah,
it's good.
I feel like I'm finally able to be active, and it's like the wrong time because summer's over. No one's going to care about abs for another 9 months. So it's like, I mean, I'll still do it. I just have to keep it up for 8 to 10 months. Like, all right.
Nah, bro.
But yeah,
just
I guess
go on walks.
Yeah, I have to do that more. I'm trying to do the Stairmaster and then try to read like the original Pokemon manga like while I'm doing it, and that I only let myself read while I'm doing the Stairmaster. So if I don't do it, then I don't get to read what happens next. And granted, I've read this like 8 times already, but
that's a good incentive program.
Yeah, like that episode of what was one of Will's Fresh Prince, where they like sell the furniture and they just get like exercise bicycles, and that's how they do if they want to watch TV, they have to be on the exercise bicycle. So that brings me to a question here as we get into why haven't some people found Omi yet, and we'll get into that because there's a couple people who have. You guys know what pump fun is, right?
Like meme coin?
Yeah, it's like it's a meme coin, but it's also this website that anyone can go on and they could make a token. You just put in what the name is, what ticker you want, and then a brief like description. And then the coin is made. And then you can live stream on the website. So I've been playing with it, and there are most of it's trash. Like most of it is just like, well, some of it is funny, Like most of it is like there's one called Hams. I don't have any. It's HAMZ, and the dude just put a he just put a camera on like his hamster cage, and people just watch the hamster do hamster things, and then people are putting in like I don't know how much each one, but collectively it's like hundreds of thousands in volume, and people get like 1% of the of whatever. So there's some people that are like, there's one dude that's just continuously walking on a treadmill, and he just goes to lose weight, and I think that's cool, and people buy his token, and none of this has like utility. I don't think none of this has like any type of business behind it. It's just, but at the same time, like what is Mr. Beast like? Mr. Beast does a lot of giveaways and stuff, but how does his channel become worth so much? It's because he gets a lot of viewers. So I feel like if you just become super whimsical and people buy your token, do they really need to have any utility? Do they need, or could they just have a good audience? Again, most of this is just 99% trash. There's a lot of rug pulls on there. There's a lot of people say, yeah, buy the token, then they dump. Do you think this is what's sucking liquidity out of the market? Do you think that general businesses are too like boring for people, and they're like, sales and stuff, not my thing. I want to watch this guy eat an entire cheesecake at like 120 pounds. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of fun. Also, Rain, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Substance is what makes things go, but it's a little bit later on. At first, as people are coming to crypto, they're like, oh, what's this crypto thing about? Oh, this meme coin, that meme coin. Then they get rug pulled on a couple of their like experiments, and then they start going for substance. So, and it happens later in the bull run. At least it did in 2017, in 2021 as well. So, like, we're just on track. Now, why is the bull run so delayed? I think it has to do with global liquidity. The U.S. keeping the rates so high. The dollar has still been fairly strong. As the dollar weakens and there's more liquidity and there's quantitative easing and interest rates are much lower and there's a big refinance boom, I think crypto is going to go crazy. But I think that's why it's been a little bit delayed from when I would have thought it would have been. But also, I think because it's so delayed, we might have this prolonged year-long run that might be really, really big. Where we have a super cycle and Bitcoin goes into the hundreds of thousands, like 300, 400, 500,000.
Yeah, people like it. Yeah. So first of all, like, am I glitching for you guys? My internet, like, it seems like I'm not. Okay.
You sound good.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the pump fund, I do think it's taking some of the liquidity out of the market, and same with meme coins in general, like, and meme coins have become part of the market, but I guess they distract people, or they take a lot of liquidity away from actual legitimate projects with fundamentals. And that's, listen, we got to adapt. We got to be flexible, and we got to learn from that. And so, yeah, I think that meme coins are part of this pump.fun. And I mean, there's been a ton of, I mean, when pump.fun just first came out, like, there was so much attention that went that way, and so much money went into that, right? Because I think that's where the rainbow fart unicorn, or whatever that is, that's where that originated, was off that platform.
Unicorn fart dust? Well,
and it's a massive meme coin now, right? Yeah, unicorn fart dust. Yeah. And so, but it got kind of crazy, and I think it got banned because people started doing some crazy stuff on it, right? But yeah, but like Rain said, and we've talked about before, is like, at some point, real money starts to look at fundamentals, projects with fundamentals. And at least if we look at like last cycle, some of those projects just went bananas. They just went bananas. And you look at some of the projects with solid fundamentals that had real use cases that are still around today, like Chainlink. Chainlink had massive run up, right? Like its first cycle and stuff. And it stayed around, and it's still got an awesome market cap and things. And it's got a lot of solid community members because it has a real life use case. Right now, what Chainlink has done well is they've I mean, they are fully Web3, right? But yeah, I'm excited for this, and I agree with Rain. Like, liquidity is everything when it comes to prices in the market, and we are starting to see liquidity continue. There's this chart that's out there. What is happening on my screens? Yeah, there's this liquidity that's it's continuing to rise, and as we get lower interest rates, which we should hear tomorrow, right? I believe the Fed meets tomorrow, and I think that is kind of the start of things. Now, there's still a chance; it's a smaller chance, but there is a chance, and I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. But there is a chance that they drop it 50 basis points. If that happens, if they're seeing something, right, or they're really something, and they want to get out ahead of this, and so we're going to do this double jump. Like, the market has not priced in a 50 basis point drop, so we would see crypto and stocks and everything shoot up pretty dramatically if that happens tomorrow. But what it's gonna like do is, I mean, listen, with lower interest rates, that means that corporations can issue debt at cheaper rates, right? And so they'll borrow more money, and then they put that more money into the markets. They hire more. They do these things. That's part of the stimulus, right, that happens in the economy, or should happen in the economy. Sometimes those corporations just pay better dividends, or they do stock buybacks. But then that also increases the stock price. Anyways, there's so many different things that happen there. But long answer to your shorter question is, Pump.Fund has drawn a lot of liquidity away from the markets. But at some point, that liquidity, like, the attention will turn away from that, and it will point towards fundamental projects. And so that's my bet, and where I place a lot of money, and looking forward to how that goes.
Agreed. I think there's a lot of legitimate projects out there that have a business, they have revenues, and they still don't make it. They still just they can't string. It's like you have like a professional baseball team where they have, some great offense, they have some great defense, but they just can't string the hits together. They just can't string. And then you have some like 500 baseball teams, like they get hot just right at the end of the year, and the ones that you thought maybe might make a wild card, and that's how they get in the playoffs. They wind up winning the whole thing because they just got hot at the right time. It's kind of similar with crypto. Sometimes you have legit projects that just can't get it together, and they just don't hit that narrative. And then you have some unicorn fart dust that goes crazy for next to no reason. So yeah, you have that. This will go into one of my next questions. We have Wes saying, Rain, what is the latest you think an altcoin bull run can be? Because you have two schools of thought here. You have the people that say October, November will be a blow off top for Bitcoin and ETH. Then comes phase 4 of that alt season. But then you also have the people that say, well, a lot of these countries aren't going to get their 2026 budgets until 2026. And, you have a blow off top in January, February, and then you have alt season after that. Could be before, after, anywhere in between. What are your guys' thoughts?
You already see Bitcoin's dominant following. So Bitcoin's dominance has peaked for this cycle, and some of that liquidity has started to travel into ETH and some of the other alts. So altcoin season is starting. You're just not feeling it if you're in the riskier alts like OMI and Devi and some of the other stuff, because those do move the most, but they move last or later usually. You can get lucky, and you can have a higher risk altcoin, one that's got a lower market cap, really take off at the same time everything else is taking off with Bitcoin in the higher caps. And we saw a little bit of that last cycle. But usually it cascades into that a little bit later as things start to go crazy. Everyone turns into this massive researcher, like, where's the money going to go? And they're looking for strong fundamentals, and the money flows massively into projects with strong fundamentals.
And Dot, do you have any thoughts on whether?
Oh, sorry, I didn't answer just because the question was directed at Rain. But the latest that I think listen, if the altcoin bull run has not happened, like, we haven't seen some significant ramp ups by June, I'm gonna be tripping. Like I'm gonna be like, I got no answers. Honestly, if that doesn't happen by then, I don't know what's happening in the markets. So I guess that would be my answer. Is if things haven't pumped by June, I don't know, but maybe by June there'll be a reason, right? Maybe there'll be some black swan event or something like that. But for me, I can't see any reason why the altcoin season won't have started, and potentially be like well into it by then. So that's my thoughts on it.
Fair. But guys, it's perfect time to mention Definity. They are one of those companies that I was kind of hinting at before that have everything going for them. And it's just, do people, can they pay attention? Can they get the right marketing out there? Because marketing is hard. I mean, you could spend $1 million or a couple $1 million and do that, but you can really only do that once. There's only so many millions you have in that war chest, and they make a lot of money. But I would, not that I want to see no marketing, but I want to see that optimally spent. And I don't think it's efficient use to just blast out marketing everywhere, because you get a lot of waste that way. But we'll see what happens with them. Omi Dev needed. We'll get to speculation a little bit later. Anyway, from Wes's question, it does get into another one. I can never find our chats here, which is Ash Crypto Real has said we're in phase 3 right now of the Bitcoin cycle, Ethereum cycle. We're in the large caps where BNB has hit all-time high. I think Solana was at like 240 today. And regardless of market cap, some altcoins with strong fundamentals overlap and will have pumps. And outside of like the top 10 or top 20, have you guys seen that yet with other large caps in like the top 200? Or is it specifically just the ones that people know, the ones that that are in ETFs right now, before we get to phase 4 alt season?
Well, it's mostly those. So you could include SUI in there, but SUI didn't have a previous high from 2021's bull run. And so we don't know what it would have been there. But SUI's up. A bunch of your larger cap ones that have solid substance are up. So Solana, BNB, SUI, and you're seeing some money flows go there. And so the cascade isn't ready to happen yet. Those will probably go more parabolic, and then the money will cascade.
Yeah, I don't think that so Big A is we are in alt season by most indicators. It talks about Omi has had some good price action and holding higher highs. For me, I guess my definition of alt season, right, is one's Bitcoin's dominance. Like Bitcoin has hit its all-time high and it is on the downward trend. Like it's not going to hit a new all-time high. And so then more money is flowing into the altcoins at that point. I believe that Bitcoin is going to hit a new all-time high. And it's going to hit higher than it is right now. So for me, that's why I don't think that we're really in the altcoin season. I guess that's kind of like where I'm at with that. But we have started to see some altcoins hitting higher highs and these blue chips. But for me, I guess those are altcoins, but blue chips to me are kind of like in a different bucket than like the high risk altcoins where we see massive wealth gains. And that's, I guess, what I'm kind of looking for, and where most of my money is parked, right, is in those projects that potentially have the ability to do, double digit X's. And I don't think that we're there in this part of the cycle. So my thoughts.
The Flamingo saying a lot of dead tokens have not gone up. I mean, if they're dead, they're dead. Nothing's going to really help them. But you said everything else has, including Omi. I'm not 100% sure that everything else has, but yeah, you've seen some spikes with Omi, which is really cool. When is the next? I mean, we haven't really had any narratives hit yet. I mean, obviously that won't happen really until phase 4, but it hasn't been like you haven't had like Alex Becker, like everyone talking about gaming or everyone talking about AI. So that should come at some point. I don't, again, we don't know when. But even before then, it's nice to see kind of the little pumps, even though you kind of pump up, you go back down. As long as you're maintaining those higher lows, like Big A said, generally a good sign. Last week we had a horrible thing happen with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I was surprised that there was, not to get too negative in here, but surprised that so many people like kind of celebrating that, and then the backlash of that is there's a bunch of people getting fired and a bunch, like, it just again, wild times. I'm coming F down below, pay respects for Charlie. But then on that day, or like the next day after, you had all-time highs for the stock market, all-time highs for gold, and that trend's continued this week. But that's something I think that like shook the nation. So I guess the question I have here is, how important or how big does someone have to be to really deter this market that we're in? Because he was like one of the biggest names out there, especially for young conservatives, and the market just kind of kept going. It took a pause for a day, but does this mean that the market is so strong that, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but regardless of who would get unalived, and hopefully it's no one, what can stop this bull market? Because it seems that things keep going regardless of what else happens.
There's very little that can stop it at this point. It's going to happen. There's so much in motion. And so, Robert Redford passed away today, and more expected when people die of old age versus being murdered. And so it's still a sad day. The Charlie Kirk thing was gruesome. I couldn't believe it, and people celebrating it. Just shows you, like my dad once said, the world never becomes more tolerant. It just changes what it's intolerant of. I thought about that a lot. I hope he's wrong on that. I hope that the world becomes more tolerant. But you see, there's lots of intolerance still for people having other views. Is it going to stop the market? Not something like that. Only something that would be economic world changing would stop things going on. So otherwise, this market's going to happen. Rates are going to come down. Trump's really good in the U.S. at getting what he wants, and he's putting lots of pressure in the right places. I think rates are going to come down significantly. And if not significantly soon, by March, when Jerome Powell's tenure is up, or May, I think, then for sure. And probably, like, this won't be the first time the U.S. president has done that. Nixon did the same thing. Lyndon B. Johnson did the same thing. Supposedly, Lyndon B. Johnson had the federal chairman over and like beat him up in his house or whatever to drop the rate. I don't know. Lyndon B. Johnson, interesting guy. But yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure on the Fed to drop the interest rates. That in Europe they're at 2%, in the U.S. they're at 4.25%. Maybe Trump's right, and it's Jerome Too Late Powell is a good nickname for him, and that they should have been more on top of this. They should have seen through all the bogus job numbers that were so incorrect that the economy was much worse than what was being stated. And now that's all been corrected appropriately to show where things are at. The U.S. economy needs some stimulus, and that is going to stimulate a lot of growth, which is going to stimulate inflation. Money is then going to want to flow into hard assets, like things like stocks, things like crypto, things like real estate.
I think that's what shows it's more political than anything, because Powell had zero problem with dropping interest rates when Biden was president. Elizabeth Warren, all she had to do was write a letter. And he drops interest rates like the next day. Yeah. And I know there's multiple people that vote on it, but he's like the guy that everyone kind of follows. So this should be, anyway. Sorry, Doc. What's your thoughts?
First of all, I was horrified at the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Listen, regardless of whether you agree with his political, his stances on different topics or not, one thing that I loved about him, and one of my favorite quotes from him is, when people stop talking, that's when violence happens, right? And so he would go there and listen. There's so many people that were so awful to him in some of those conversations, and the way that he clapped back sometimes, like, but never like it was never egregious and like I mean like, but he never clapped first, right? Like, I was horrified, and anyone's listen. I despise Hillary Clinton. I would absolutely be mortified if something happened to her like that. I would. It's wrong. It's wrong because I can disagree with her political stances and things like that. But at the end of the day, she's a freaking human being. Me, I'll need to treat each other with respect. So that it shook me to the core, man. It shook me to the core that it happened in my state, not far from my, it was awful. So I just send all my love to his family and his kids and all those people who are impacted by that, and I do hope that this world learns something and that people all take a step back and say, am I too intolerant one way or the other? And listen, again, you can have your opinions and you can stand by those opinions and not agree with someone else's. And I don't consider that intolerance, but it's when it's like, you don't have the right to have that opinion. And if you do, you deserve what's coming to you, whatever, that's wrong. And Please listen, if there's anyone out there who has thoughts like that, please unfollow me. I don't want you here. That you need to freaking do some self-analyzing if that's where you are in life, because that is awful. That's a horrible place to be, because everyone thinks it's okay to treat someone else like that. But if that happens to them, all of a sudden it's not okay. You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem, is the hypocrisy there with that. So that's all I want to do. I did want to say something to honor Charlie Kirk, because I loved his courageous stance to have these conversations with people. And even if you didn't agree with him, and again, I have conversations with people I don't agree with all the time, and I love that. I learn a lot in those conversations, and sometimes it has changed my opinion on things, and it's important to have that dialogue. So I had to take a step on that. So, but with respect to why that didn't impact the economy, he didn't his role had nothing to do with anything within the economy. So I don't expect stock markets to change because of that. Whereas a world president or president of a major country, if something like that happened, I would expect stock markets to change depending on the stance of that political individual. You know what I mean? So then also going back to what could stop this bull run, inflation, hyperinflation could stop it, where all of a sudden the Fed reverses things and they're just we've got to raise rates because we got to fight this inflation. I think that could put a significant douse the fire that's starting, but I don't see that happening. So that's where a black swan event, I don't know what could cause some sort of awesome hyperinflation or inflation creeping up so quickly that they would have to do that. And especially as we're seeing that they're about to lower rates. So barring something like that, man, I think it's for me, all indicators are that gates are open, and that water is starting to flow, and it's just going to get faster and faster as it's falling downhill. So
I wanted to go back to that comment that was brought up earlier, and it's something about the tokens have taken off except for the dead ones, right? And what's funny about that, what you're really saying is things have taken off except for the ones that haven't taken off yet. Because the dead ones, you don't actually know at this point what's dead and what's not, because a lot of the lower market cap, riskier projects haven't run yet at all. And you could take the stance that means that they're dead, but that would be massively wrong. It's just timing that those have not run yet, and they will run later. And I've seen people take that stance in 2021, in 2017 as well. This guy sold out of Tron in 2017 so he could roll it into ETH and Bitcoin, because that's where all the action was, and Tron was dead. only to have Tron go like 100x, like literally a week after he sold it. And so just realize the cascade hasn't hit a lot of the lower cap coins, and you could just say they're dead, or maybe they're not your thing, and that's totally acceptable. But that's still coming, whether you realize it or not. There's a lot of substantive projects that are doing things within the crypto space that awareness hasn't hit them yet. And we're just at the beginning of this run. Like Bitcoin's been running for a while. That momentum is just barely started going other places than Bitcoin with outside money coming in. Now, we've had some different narrative runs within crypto where money has been changing hands within crypto. But this cascade of outside money coming into crypto, most of the momentum's gone to Bitcoin. Then it's starting to go to ETH and some other things. That cascade is going to continue. It's going to ripple through so much of the market. And some of these things that feel like they're dead now are going to go 100x.
I'm waiting. I feel like at the end of Transformers, where Optimus Prime sends a message to all the remaining Autobots that are seeking refuge among the stars, and at the end he says, "We are here. We are waiting." And I've never sympathized with the line so much that I do right now. I'm waiting. One of the other things I'm waiting on is Tim Ferriss, that has 1.7 million followers over on YouTube, had said that he is going to take a look into I forget what this is called, the Johnny Depp book, the one that we just yes, Hyde. He's said he's going to take a look into that. I'm not 100% sure what that means. He said that on Wednesday, and if he does take an actual bit, like, where can I get this? And he sees that there's some type of VeVe connection, maybe he gets to look into it. I haven't checked him out on Twitter or anything. I haven't tried to spam him. Is that something that we should do? Is that something like, hey, heard you were taking a look into Hyde? Here, check this out.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss wrote The 4-Hour Work Week, right? So I read that book when I was like 24, and I was like, oh my gosh, because he said, why do we need to work 40 or 60 hours a week? Like, who determined 40 or 60 hours? He said a lot of times we do that because we don't make enough money per hour, so we have to work that many hours to sustain our lifestyle. But what if we could really up our skills so our skills are so valuable in the marketplace that we could work for 4 hours and we get paid so well because our skills are so valuable that we could live very, very well just working 4 hours a week? And I was like, that is a great question. And at the time I was 24, I was like, I don't know how to solve that in my own life, but I'm going to figure it out. So what I like is crypto is the way that can solve that problem, right? If you use your money really well and you work really hard now and you're putting into crypto that allows it to grow into something massive, and then you take that and roll that into some passive income, you can live very well with only working a few hours a week. So Tim Ferriss could be a great guest. We'll talk about that. Yeah, let's have Tim Ferriss on. Let's talk about what he likes about comics, Johnny Depp's new comics, and did he know that Marvel comics that you can buy are here, like digital versions of it.
That you actually own, right? And I think we're going to get into that a little bit, right? Yep. With this announcement with Disney and Webtoons, right?
Yeah. Yep. This is a perfect segue into that announcement.
Yeah.
So we have, where did I even put this? Let's go over, I know I sent it to my friend on WhatsApp. Disney and Webtoon Entertainment broaden relationship to create new digital comics platform. The first time, more than 35,000 Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, Pixar, and 20th Century Studios digital comic books will be available in one digital platform for fans to experience. Disney Plus subscribers will have access to a curated selection of content on the new platform as part of their subscription. So there's a couple of ways to get this. Webtoons is the largest digital scroller out there. There's no other place that has more users that pay to have it. You go in, you pay a certain amount of dollars each month, you get access to all of their content. You can still do that, or you can have Disney Plus, and then if you have Disney Plus, you can go in and get that as well. They are not NFTs. You will be able to scroll. Again, they're talking about 35,000 comics. From which eras, which runs, I couldn't tell you right now. I don't even know if that's public. Webtoon up 25% on the day, though, because of that news that had come out yesterday. I think that goes to show you that you are never more than just a small announcement away, because it's a term sheet, but it's Disney said that they're going to invest 2% into their business, which is nothing. They're just going to buy 2% of the company. And you have a move of 25% of the stock. So I think it goes to show that you have often takes very little, like when somebody's shocked, the slightest breeze can knock them over. The same thing can happen with crypto, but also Disney not, I feel like that scene in Gilmore Girls where Luke finds out that Lorelai is dating this like kid from her college class, and he's thinking, oh my God, will she date anyone else but me? Will Disney love every other company out there but VeVe? So which way do you want to go first? Do you want to go slightest breeze can knock you over, smallest news can make us go stonks? Or do you want to go that Disney seems to ignore us like the redheaded stepchild? Leave that to y'all.
Yeah, good question. Let's talk about being ignored, right? So what's funny is people like to jump on bandwagons that are massively out, and everyone isn't talking about crypto stuff like VeVe. Disney is going to be talking about VeVe like crazy when digital collectibles are a really big thing. So like this recent announcement with Disney, some people are like, oh, that's a bad thing because you can just read the comics at this on Webtoons. It's like, well, how is that bad? Well, you can read them there, yes, but can you own them? It's the idea of ownership that's special. And that's why gaming is going to go towards blockchain gaming, this idea of digital collectibles. Sure, would it be cool that you could pay a monthly fee and you could go and play with old G.I. Joes and Transformers from your childhood? Yeah, it would be cool. Does that take away the value of owning one? No, it doesn't. In fact, it might even augment it. So some people are going to take that as bad news because everything is seen through that prism. I'm leaning towards it's good/indifferent news. It's good news because it's going to bring ideas that people want to read these comics they didn't really have access to before. But then they think, well, where can I own them? Might go through their mind. And if so, then VeVe's that place that they can own them.
Yeah, I mean, like I couldn't agree more, Rain. Ownership is what makes. I mean, that's the whole NFT movement. That's why NFTs were such a big deal. Is because you could actually show ownership of a digital item, and like listen, people have paid a lot of money for these JPEGs that they can own, right, as social flexes. And I'm telling you right now, the social flex is going to be like, I own this, not I can read this just like you can. Because everyone can read it, right? They just pay the subscription and they can get that. Not everyone can own a Marvel comic #1. Right? There's a limited amount. Like that's what it is. So that scarcity and the ownership is what adds value to this. And so all this is a replacement for Marvel Unlimited, basically, is what it is, right? Like, and so like they already had Marvel Unlimited and VeVe Comics still did well, during the cycle. So it doesn't faze me at all. And it's so funny. I mean, I see these people, I won't name names because I don't want to bring attention to their names, right? But it's just like they're commenting on this, like, oh, like VeVe's doomed, or like they're just lurking, waiting for anything that they can, wordsmith or freaking just like, just to paint VeVe or Omi in a bad light, and it's I think I laugh at it. It's just sad. I'm like, what is your life, man? Is this like any attention is good attention? Like, is that what, like, I don't know at this point, but anyways, guys, it's a nothing burger in the grand scheme of things with like the impact of VeVe. Honestly, none, because it's a completely different product.
It might even bring more awareness to digital.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because people are like, oh, you can actually
Not a
own
negative. It's questionable how much of a positive it is. It is not a negative.
Yeah.
But, some people can't let go of things. They are like ex-girlfriends, like crazy ex-girlfriends, where they like stalk you. They have to figure out like everything that's going on. And it's just like, can you just leave? Oh, no, can't do that. I got to stalk every move so I can verify leaving was the right decision. But at some point, they do just go away. When prices go crazy, you just then never hear from them again. Why? They've got no angle.
So as we get from that to the more positive one that VeVe's not getting the love, I'll say in between one, Camster, we'll get to your question after this next subject. I've seen on TikTok girls be like, I found this cute guy and I swear I'm not a stalker, but I'm on his aunt's Facebook profile page looking at cruise photos from a cruise they took in like 2012 and I'm like, oh my God. Or girls that'll say like, I made a new Instagram to follow my boyfriend or to follow this guy that I'm interested in. And I blocked every single girl that was on his page. So now I know if he follows any new girls, they'll show up. And I'm like, oh my God, girls are like detectives with that. Anyway, so going from the fact that Disney has not given so much love to VeVe yet is because it's going from that to how positive can this be for a small amount of news to pump us. It's been months. We still haven't had that big announcement that David's been talking about since April, May. Whenever that happens, I'm hoping for Comic-Con. Maybe it happens after, because Comic-Con's just in a couple weeks. If it comes before, that's great. I think it could pump us depending on, even if it's not anything huge, it could probably pump us just from the fact that it seems that that's all it takes is one little spark. It lights the keg. Or could the opposite happen? Could the opposite happen where you say, hey, we have this announcement now and we're all expecting a pump, but then the announcement's not what people think. And then it has the opposite effect and people kind of sell the less than stellar news.
That can happen. It usually has to be some kind of devastating news that changes the picture of what you think about it entirely for the bad. But that can happen. Really, what you're doing when you're investing in crypto companies in general is you're investing in early stage blockchain businesses. And some are just meme coins that have no underlying business. You're just hoping momentum goes to it because of like some kind of fad craze for their token. That's why I prefer mostly like altcoins, and they're really just earlier stage businesses. The smaller cap altcoins that I invest in, they're just early stage blockchain businesses that have low awareness at the stage that they're in. And I like those because, look, if you're in a high awareness coin like Solana, you're lucky if you get a 20x. ETH, you're really lucky if you get a 20x. If you time it from the bottom to the top, you probably will get some kind of return like that. But some of these coins that go from obscurity that have strong fundamentals to they really catch some traction with what they're doing and they come out of obscurity, catch way bigger momentum. So they might do 50 or 100 or 300 or 500x. Ecomi was one of those in 2021 that went from obscurity. Almost nobody knew who they were in 2020. Nobody was talking about them. To 2021 being one of the biggest pumps of the whole bull run. And so they came out of obscurity. Then because they swung so high, they pulled back so severely, which many people think that means Omi is dead. And it's like, no, it's just the pendulum does swing each way. VeVe, which is the underlying company that the token supports, is really, really strong for the crypto space compared to most of the companies in the crypto space. And so if VeVe continues to survive, when awareness comes back in related to digital collectibles, I expect Omi's token is going to do incredibly well. Again, but that's just an early business, a bet on an earlier stage business. So we're just guessing using research and other things to bet on these early stage businesses. What I like about it is if your research is good, you can put the odds massively in your favor. so that you can stack the odds. So you might have a 75% or 90% chance that things will go well for you. And if they do go well for you, that it's not just you double your money like you do on the craps table or on some other thing like roulette. If it goes well for you, you might 10x or 20x or 50x or 100x your money.
Doc, with this, do they have should they break up the big announcement into a bunch of little announcements and put a bunch of teasers? So instead of having the big announcement, let's say on October 15th, you put a little tiny sliver, like they did with cars back in the day, and say like, oh, what are we teasing? And then keep doing that so that we get a little pump each time. How would you do it?
I love that. Like that was so exciting to be like, what are they going to do? I think that they should do that again. Absolutely. With it. Right. And kind of build some anticipation. Now, if you're going to do that though, it's better be a big deal, you know, like I listen, I love David. I really do. I think it's so fun to talk to him in person. Such a cool guy. But some of the things that he thinks are big deals, I was like that. I didn't think that was a big deal. But I blame myself because I got hyped because he was hyped. You know what I mean? So the big announcement, if they're going to do something like that, should be big. You know, like Marvel big. So because if you do something like that and then if you're teasing something out and then it's a nothing burger, I think it'll harm the project more. And then the token will actually take a big hit because of that.
There's a downside to building expectations up so much higher, right? So, once I was out of the country for a couple of years, I come back in and everyone's like, oh, did you see this movie? It's the best ever. You got to see this movie. Oh, it's incredible. So my expectations were here. And I saw the movie and it was just a good movie. And I hated the movie because my expectations were set too high for what could actually be delivered.
What movie?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
I don't want to crap on it. Most people like the movie, but it was just it was an expectations gap problem. And so it's like, yeah, biggest announcement ever. It's going to be so good. And it's like, if it's just like, okay, then we've created an expectation gap that leads to then massive disappointment. I feel like, crap, do I even believe these guys anymore? Like they said it was going to be so amazing. And it was like, the second round of Cars, oh, they're going to have a new season with, some of the Disney's Cars. It's like, that's not a huge announcement.
Yeah. So I think if it really is a big announcement, right? Some sort of partnership that like changes things on VeVe. I mean, at this point, I feel like it would have to be something that big. You know what I mean? Because like to postpone it this long, it's like it better get big. I hope it's big. Otherwise, it's gonna be like I agree. Like, what can I trust them going forward? If like it loses its power. Words have meaning, and when you misuse those words or overuse those words, they lose that power, and then people just don't trust. It's a boy who cried wolf type thing. You know what I mean? Like. You only get a certain amount of times before people just lose trust in those comments. So if it's something big, really big, I would love the teasing. If not, just come out and say, hey, we apologize. And listen, if they can make it like as part of the announcement, say, here's kind of why things were delayed, that would be helpful. That would be helpful. We had, we added some stuff to the announcement or, and it took some more time with legal or like I don't know. You know what I mean? Transparency for me is always better in general. If you get out in front of things, and I think that's where VeVe has shot themselves in the foot countless times, is a complete lack of transparency, man. And I'm just like who's running your you guys need a spin doctor or something out there, man. Because again, to help with things or to be like, hey, how do we've shot ourselves in the foot. How do we address this? How do we kind of spin this or whatever, right? Or sometimes just an apology.
Yeah, just
so far, You know,
how do we own it?
yeah, exactly, right. Because that's what people want is accountability and say, listen, I'm sorry. Here's our intent was to release the announcement in May, and then because of XYZ, this is what happened. And I know that that's not great, maybe like, and even acknowledging that maybe that's still going to be upsetting to some people. The majority of people who want VeVe to succeed will accept that, and they will have more trust. But if you're not transparent, those people are the ones that you lose. And those are the people you absolutely don't want to lose. You're going to lose those other people for a myriad of reasons anyways, right? If they're never really tied to the project, but the people who believe in the project, if they don't feel like they can trust the founders anymore, right? Because they keep saying big announcement and then it's not a big announcement, those type of things, then there's just disinterest and they get disconnected. So, yeah, that's again a long way to answer that question, Randy. But like, if it's a big announcement, if it's big, they like building up that anticipation and then making that announcement could be a lot of fun. If it's not, no, just make the announcement.
Yeah. Agreed.
Reach out to me, tell me what the announcement is, and I'll let them know if it's big or not.
I feel like we also have to take into account that David and Dan aren't American, and they don't have like the American mindset of what's like important over here or not.
Well, David's also very much a collector, right? So in his view, they don't know the crypto space tremendously well. David knows collectibles and the collectible toys really, really well, better than most people on earth. But so sometimes his view of what's big is different from what a crypto people see as like, oh, yeah, shoot, I didn't even know about that brand. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me learn about it. But, you know, a toy collector or somebody in the toy space might know who they are that sometimes I don't. And so his idea of big sometimes is different from what I see as big.
Agreed. We got Camster here. Thank you for the super chat saying, did you guys cover how Base is building a bridge to Solana? You're going to be able to transfer Base coins to the Solana ecosystem. Camster says this is huge. I did not realize that they were doing that. The amount of projects that I've seen that have built a bridge to Solana, I don't think it has worked out in a net positive manner for any of them. However, that being said, it is mostly what I've seen is meme projects do that. How many legitimate projects have done that and had it be a net positive? I'm sure there's a few. I don't know any of them, but again, I'm sure they're out there. If you can give me a example, or if you guys know an example, that'd be great. What do you guys see the potential opportunities here and how it could be big for VeVe and Omi if they were to bridge somehow some of it to Solana?
It's great when money can flow across some of the chains. Is it really going to lead to much of a difference? Not really. Maybe as people roll from meme coins into other things, it would be easier if they could roll from all the money that they made on their meme coins on Solana straight into Omi on Solana. Does it need to play out like that for Omi to do extremely well? No. Might that augment it? It might. I'm open to that.
What about you, Doc? What do you think?
Well, I think I was going to kind of mention about liquidity pools, like Big A was saying, right? And you'd have to find another liquidity pool over there. You know, like, can it give it more visibility? Sure. But like, I think that being on Base and basically more and more people are going to be able to buy it on Coinbase, directly on Coinbase, right? Like, I don't see it as like a huge thing. In my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong. Like, and if someone wants to paint like a picture that I'm not aware of, like I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong there. But I don't see how you got to now have Omi on Solana and to have a liquidity pool there. So how are they going to fund that, or what's going to happen? And then what's the use case of having Omi on Solana? I did want to kind of like along these kind of lines of. I want to circle back to something, but tie it into like Omi and the use case. Let's see. It was it had to do with ownership. Okay, so Smurf Dabs. I like that name. Smurf Dabs. Great cow, by the way, Smurf Dabs. Do you think that VeVe will ever give keys to transfer NFT off VeVe to a decentralized wallet? Who's Pixie?
She's a friend.
Oh, hi, Pixie. Anyways, so potentially, right? But here's a couple things that I think that VeVe will always have to take into consideration is, and the IP will be very, very serious about, is maintaining royalties, right? So here's the thing, right? And I'm going to tie it into another question about why I can't stake OMI. Certain staking is allowed right now. The SEC has basically come out and said that, right? But the only staking that's currently allowed really is the staking to secure the protocol. So a proof of stake blockchain where you're staking ETH to become a validator and you get ETH rewards for that. That is allowed. Staking just for the sake of staking and earning more tokens because of that, where you're not actually doing any work, that still hits one of the prongs basically of the Howey test. And so that's not allowed in general. Now, imagine this. And this is a scenario that I could see happening at some point down the road. Maybe it won't ever, right? But could OMI or a Komi create its own blockchain powered by the OMI token that's a proof of stake, to where they add additional utility to the token with that staking, where then you can become a validator and get more OMI tokens for doing that staking, right? And once that's on that blockchain, have it your own wallet that you can withdraw the NFT to, right? So you can take it off the VeVe platform and own it on that, but you can't wrap that NFT and send it anywhere else. It will stay in the wallet tied to that blockchain, right? I could see something like that happening. Now, would people still consider that ownership? Like, I don't know, you know? But anyways, that's a scenario where they could hit a lot of those things. Do I think that they'll do it? Probably not. but could they? You know, and maybe down the line, okay, down the line, I could definitely see that happening if these collectibles become a thing, because then they could own that own blockchain and have complete control over that, to where the royalties could be kept intact. But then also, like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
So there's I don't want to say a problem with that. I would love to see that scenario, but VeVe has not had the greatest history with technical capabilities.
Yeah, true.
And even hiring that out to third parties, they haven't really hired the right people, because you've seen the VeVe app and the reintroduction of a new VeVe app and how slow it was and how buggy it was. And it's like, God, did anyone test this? If they were to try to do that project, like, I don't know if I would put a lot of stock in them hiring the right people for that. And I would almost be like, oh God, this is going to be a horrible idea. We already have a system that kind of works. I don't know why you'd put it up. But those are just kind of my thoughts. Yeah, announcement of an announcement. That'd be wild. Yeah, I mean, we can still technically stake OMI. We just put it on our, it depends how you define it. We just put it on our Stacker wallet when we get MCP points for it. And
yeah.
And
so
that's
they do
about
have
it.
some utility there. And that's true. That's a good point, Randy, right? Yeah.
In the other news, let's take a look at the. I lost our chat. I feel like we have to start. Went over the pump. We went over the Webtoons and the. Okay, disregard. On to the more important questions. Are dock and taps related? I think he's saying that you look like tap, or you look like taps.
I'll take that.
And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of see it, because the and the.
No, but maybe. No, I got nothing. I was trying to think of something clever, but no. Yeah.
Last week we had toyed with the idea of getting guests on. Jasper Frank is asking about Patient Hodler because he's consistently covered VeVe and OMI and has a great perspective. I would love for you to come on. I like the guy. However, he is in England and we start at like 1 a.m. his time. So again, I'd be cool if he wants to, stay up all night one day and come on. I just want to be realistic and like, is he going to give up sleep for this? I don't know. I'd love to have him on. What about you guys?
It's cool. We had him on forever ago, long time ago, back when we did it on Tuesdays before he changed the name. So it's been a long time, like 2.5 years. What's funny is Germans, they're really analytical, and it's fun because how they look at things is a fresh perspective, and they're almost like more skeptical. Like, some of the best engineers in the world have come out of Germany because of the way they think. And I don't know why so many Germans think this way. I've just noticed the pattern, and they're very analytical and perceptive. So he has very different opinions than mine on some things, but I enjoy hearing where he's coming from and what he has to say.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna reach out to him. I think that'd be great to get him on the channel again. I went and visited him when I was in Germany. I like met up with him, had dinner with him. Like, he's a rock star. Really enjoy him as personally as an individual. I think he's awesome. But then, like Rain said, I appreciate his opinion. I don't always agree with it, but I can respect his thought process and say, yeah, like, I get it. And although I don't agree, and so, yeah, we've had some fun discussions about that. So I appreciate that. I have to laugh at Fun Under the Sun's comment. And he's like, Tap's little brother. I'm pretty sure I'm older than Taps.
You are.
But I'll take that. I love this. Appreciate that, Fun Under the Sun. Yeah. I don't know if Taps would appreciate that, but I appreciate that.
We saw him in Vegas when we went there. That was so much fun.
He'll be
I'm
there
so
again this
bummed
year.
I missed that one, man.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Yeah, I love this man. I told a story about sleeping last night. I was streaming on that pump fund that I was telling y'all about, that Pixie and VeVe Zombie are kind of helped me out with there. Anyway, the story was I was having a Star Wars stream and Sleepin was on, and he mentioned how he was able to see Empire Strikes Back in theaters. I was like, what? Like, it wasn't computing that he was that old, because I didn't think that he was old enough to see that in theaters, and he was. I feel like VeVe's got a pretty young looking crowd for the most part. Everyone here's pretty, or most.
Sleepin's got that Asian look where like they don't get old till they're like 90, where like, they stay young for forever. Like Sleepin, you can't tell. It's like he could be 50, he could be 27. You don't know.
We had he had a good idea the other day talking about, hey, could you potentially give 1 million MCP points to guarantee yourself a secret rare? I don't know if he was talking about specifically this Darth Vader secret rare, the Samurai Darth Vader, which Comics and Crypto put a $2,000 bounty on the number 1977. It was really cool. Or if he was just doing that like for anything in general. The only thing I could see that kind of going south is if you have something that's so scarce, you have all of these level 100s that are going to put in 1 million and not all of them get it. What do you guys think of that? Because some people are forgetting what bronze tickets even do. They're like, I feel like bronze tickets are like the appendix of the VeVe ecosystem. They might have done something at one point, but that was so long ago that no one remembers what that was anymore.
I was thinking like appendix in a book, and I was like, where are you going with this, bro? The appendix, man, that's amazing. That's such a good analogy.
Thanks,
I gotta golf clap that, bro. That's good, man.
Thanks, man. But yeah, like, what do you? Yeah, let me know.
No, like, listen. I mean, I think that I already talked about, like, there's too many editions for this Vader thing. For $50, there's too many. Like, if anyone wants to bet me, like, I don't think it's gonna sell out. Like, man, like, that's just too much. It's just too much. It looks awesome, so I will get some on the aftermarket, but like, I'm not willing to risk the $50 and land a common. Like Rain said, like, I haven't landed like a good, solid, rare thing in quite some time. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't bought a lot, so it's like, and I think that even I even tweeted about it at one point where I just got so pissed. I was just like, I am out. Like, I am out. I think I bought 40 comics off the store or something like that. Didn't get a single secret rare. And I was like, that's crazy. And I have so much better luck on DC on candy with rarities. Like, to me, I'm like, dude, something's like off. Like, it just feels off. Like, I feel like I'm on some blacklist, which I don't think that's the case, but like, I don't know how to come to another conclusion at some point, right? Like, and even like, I think that he had said like I don't even know how many hundreds of comics that he's bought off the store and literally never gotten a secret rare. But then I'll see some people who are like, oh, hit a secret rare again, and I'm like, dude, something's messed with that algorithm. I would love to audit that algorithm, to be honest. I would love to audit that algorithm. So back to that. I think that there's too many additions. I would love if they lowered it and then they had MCP ranks, and that you could, because then that would draw some bronze tickets. So bronze tickets allow you, when you cash them in basically, and you get MCP points for them. And so what can happen is, if you're close to a certain tier, right? Maybe you're diamond 2, and then the level is you need to be a diamond 1 or whatever it is, to get this drop or to have access to this drop. Then people would use those bronze tickets for that day to try to get into that tier to be able to have access to the drop. So I hope that they start doing that. In fact, I had a prediction, if anyone remembers, that like they were going to start using that. Now we still got, solid like October, November, December, and half of September for them to start rolling this out. But my assumption is that they're going to start doing that more. I really hope that that's the case. So yeah, but the Vader looks amazing. I'm going to go on the secondary. I'm not dropping $50. I'm not dropping $50 but I do think with 57, I think 57 is like how many I will actually be able to land of that Darth Vader. Oh my gosh. Whoever lands that, I think that those are going to probably go for $800 to $1,000.
That's a lot.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen because it's Vader, and it'll be the scarcest Vader. I don't want to say ever, but at least right now. But I don't know. It might be. I mean, when that NFT bull market kind of takes off in a couple months, and we have no other Vaders between then, if you have another Vader that comes out, which they probably will, because when it's one thing, and I went over this on a video the other day. It's one thing when VeVe had to give us Grogu, they had to give us Luke, they had to give us all of these major drops for very little money because they had to keep that machine going. They would have much rather not given us those when we had 1,000, 2,000 users, as opposed to when they had 20,000 active daily users. And it's unfortunate they had to give us some of those already, but they've given us Vaders with like 13,000 commons and 5,000 ultra rares. They haven't given us these characters that are super scarce yet. Vader's going to be one of them. Some others will be, but there's going to be some others that they've given us that are super scarce, and they're going to probably re-release them as something else when we have 20,000 users, because then they could make that money. I forget where I was going with this.
Well, you were just thinking. I mean, you started off saying that my prediction for the value of that is high. I'd make a bet with you.
Okay.
I think that once the market settles within, say, a week,
mm-hmm.
I think the floor on that will be at least $800.
We're gonna bet $10.
How about when we go to Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
The other one of us, the loser buys the other one lunch.
Okay.
Like
I will,
like just a fair lunch. Like listen, if I'm not gonna be going because I'm already gonna win, but I'm just telling you I'm not gonna be going and getting some crazy steak dinner or lunch or whatever like that for you to buy. So
it's like that Seinfeld episode to be like, he ordered soup. that counts. Like soup isn't a lunch.
Yeah.
I'll do if there's lobster bisque, I'll totally get soup. I haven't had good lobster bisque in so long. But yeah, that'll be good. That'll be fun.
Okay.
I'm
Digital
game for that.
handshake.
Visual handshake. Yeah, those bounties are gonna be awesome. I haven't had a drink since August 30th. So I have not only been sober, but I have been in a caloric deficit for weeks, and I need to engage in some debauchery. So I'm gonna drop the 50 gems, and I'm gonna gamble for that 1977 or the secret rare, because I got to do something. So that's where we differ. I know you're not gonna drop 50. I will, because that's the only thing that'll make me feel alive. We have never had I don't think we've ever had the discussion of having a fourth Omi homie. We had someone nominate themselves, Big A, and then Fun Under the Sun, saying that he would be a great fourth homie. We can discuss that later, or you can give me your thoughts now, and the thoughts now could be discussed later. Or I know, Doc, you don't have too much longer left here tonight. I mean, you'll be here for a long time, but tonight, a couple minutes.
That went dark fast, bro. Like, I don't think anyone was thinking that when you said that.
It just sounded so final, and I heard it. I was like, "Oh, I gotta correct that."
Listen, I like Big A. Like, I mean, so I haven't I've seen him on a couple of the streams, and we've had private discussions. Like, I'll just put it that way. I like Big A.
Big A and I are homies. I don't know if Big A and Omi are homies. Big A, I don't think you even have any Omi yet. He's playing a lot of other plays. Probably he'll roll into Omi later. But
Big A has traded it in the past, so he has had it at some point. I don't know if he currently has it.
I mean, Big A, bro, if we were to consider you as a fourth Omi homie, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to freaking own Omi. That's the title of the freaking show, bro.
How much does he have to own in order to be considered a homie?
Like 40 million.
Yeah, $8 is not going to cut it. So
I have $8 total of Omi.
Yeah, not going to work.
He's such a cool guy. He's been solidly collecting VeVe the whole time around, right? And he's just making other plays in the crypto space. And he's smart. What I like about him is he's financially well educated. He knows what he's talking about. He takes different risks in different plays than I do, but he's really smart about it and thoughtful about it. So he would add things that way. I'm not convinced, though, you're an Omi homie yet, but when you come around, let's talk.
Mark saying that this is kind of related, goes to the entire collectible industry. Are you guys worried about the gambling addiction that will be ingrained into the next generation because of blind boxes? I will answer this with I'll just give you the scenario. Me, that has been scared to death of having kids, I always wrap my whacker before I attack her. A lot of people that I served with did not. Now, I don't care. You give me whatever disease y'all want, I'll probably survive. The kid, I don't. So, but a lot of the people that I served with did not have that reservation, and they were gambling left and right. And I don't think blind boxes are going to be the one thing that people regret gambling on. I think it's going to be things that have multi-generational consequences. Which I guess if you put yourself in a heck ton of debt, yes, that can affect your kids as well. But kids are that multi-generational commitment, and I feel like there's other things that people are gambling on that have a much higher potential disastrous effect than this. And I'm not saying that you can't get addicted to this. Of course you can. I just don't think it's that big a deal. Yeah. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think?
It's the law of inconsistent rewards is what is so addictive about blind boxes. And that's how women get our attention. That's how men get women's attention. Like we've seen this throughout life. And so it is what causes what do you call it? Fascination. So I once read this book like 12 years ago called The 7 Triggers of Fascination. It was an amazing book on what triggers our emotional responses that drive fascination as a human being. And so inconsistent rewards is one of those factors, and it does then fuel addiction. And that's, I mean, it's been in play for a long time with baseball card packs, Pokemon card packs. The whole blind box thing has been out there. So I'm more concerned with other addictions, kind of like social media. Get so much dopamine going on that, like, if people don't take a break from it, they have a hard time regulating. So is it a concern? Yes. Is it a concern that's going to be solved? Like, there are so many other bigger concerns front loading that like that one's just low on the priority.
Yeah, like I agree. I mean, are we setting up our kids to fail in a lot of different areas? I think so. I mean, I look at even growing up, like I don't know if I'd say addicted to Nintendo, you know what I mean? But like when I look at like how much people play now, like and how much like kids are on iPads compared to like what I played like on the Nintendo, like it's so many more hours and stuff. And like, no wonder we had so many kids have freaking ADHD and like they're just this constant dopamine hit, right? That it's so hard to then focus on any one freaking thing because you're looking for the next hit and stuff. And blind boxes are part of that. But even if blind boxes weren't there, I don't think that blind boxes are going to be the thing that creates that gambling addiction. I think that there's so many, like, does it add to the problem? Sure. But it's not like there's so many other things that even if we got rid of blind boxes, like I don't think it'd have a meaningful impact for the better for our kids not to have it. That doesn't mean that we should do it, right? Like there's that, but I think it's going to happen either way. So blind boxes can be fun. Like that gambling, like that hit when you hit something really big is really a big thing. So anyways, fam, I got to go a little bit early tonight, but that made me laugh so hard. Did you create that one, Randy?
No, somebody tagged me in it on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh, this is gold." So shared it.
It's always you three. Oh man, I definitely chuckled about that. So anyways, I got to bounce, but I appreciate you, fam. I'll be listening to the rest of the show later. But you guys all have a good night.
Love you. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get called before the Ministry of Truth, and I forget that minister's name in Harry Potter, Minister of something.
Oh, Fudge. Cornelius Fudge, Minister of Magic.
Oh, was that was Cornelius Fudge? I was thinking it is that female headmaster that took.
Oh, that was Professor McGonagall. I thought you were just talking about the actual Ministry of Magic, Cornelius Fudge. But yeah, no, this is McGonagall. We love McGonagall. She's bae.
Yeah, she was cool. I was thinking it was what was that gal that, like, when they fired Dumbledore and they had
Umbridge?
Yeah, and they had to take over and they couldn't do all this stuff. And yeah, of course,
the people, especially me, that had to deal with a abusive authority figure like that in my youth. I hated Umbridge more than Voldemort, and Voldemort like killed people. Like I just, the way she just did things, and I think that's the mark of a great actress, is being able to have genuine hate for the character.
Yeah, I felt like that was like 2021, 2022, 2023. There were all these things you couldn't say, even if they were true, especially if they were true. And that we lived through that Harry Potter episode or that one movie where it's like all this stuff you couldn't say, you couldn't talk about, you couldn't mention certain things. Yeah, that was funny. That stuff happens in real life. And if you're around on social media, 2021, 2022, 2023, you live through it too.
Mark Quinn saying, I would consider Pokemon cards the same as blind boxes. I asked this because I saw a kid throw a tantrum at a card store because he didn't get the card he wanted.
I do that every time. Yeah.
I'm curious how old the kid was, because if you're like 7, okay, maybe it's one of the first times he's disappointed. If you're like 13, you're like, dude, you gotta you're a child. Like 13 and you're acting like that. That is no bueno.
That is no control.
Yeah, that's horrible. And better to learn that disappointment early. And obviously, like, life is full of disappointments, but life is full of amazing awesomeness too. But it's good to learn that stuff early, that you don't always get what you want, like that famous Mick Jagger quote. And you have to go in and learn how to deal with the pain of loss, and do it again. Learn to control that emotion early. It was way over the top. What I've seen just made me think. Fair point. Fair point.
Well, in Mark, you might just never have experienced that. You seem like really regulated. Like, all your comments are well thought out and smart, and probably your parents, your family, there wasn't a lot of that. That kind of behavior has existed within families for a long time. You even see it in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where that dad gives his daughter like everything, and she wasn't getting her golden ticket fast enough, right? And so that kind of that inability to regulate emotions, oftentimes, sometimes it's chemical imbalance, sometimes it's lack of parenting.
Yeah, I never like they even had that in Harry Potter, where one Christmas Dudley's like, there's only 48 presents. I had 50 last year. And Uncle Vernon's like, well, some of these presents are a bit bigger than last year. It's like, I don't care how big they are. It's like, oh my God. Like, I don't know if you ever saw my Super Sweet 16. And this one chick got, it wasn't like a Ferrari. But she got a car. I think it was a Corvette. But she was like crying because it was the wrong color. And I was like, I don't know. Some stuff like that makes you think that Thanos was right, and it's like, okay, yeah, we need a culling, and fortunately that's not the case, and that's just a very, very small substrata of people that are like that, because most of us have not have been lucky enough where we'll never be like that.
What's so funny about that argument, right? He goes through Thanos. He goes through such extreme things. Also, he can snap his fingers to half the population. Well, guess what happens 30 years later? The population is doubled again. What is he going to snap his fingers every 30 years? And also, you're killing, like, Einstein might have died in that. Like, Elon Musk might have died in that. Some of your creators that create amazing innovation that allow technology to move forward. That was a really big thing. I think socialists tend to think that way. It's like, if we just half the population, there'd be more resources to go around. It's like, kind of, but that's innovation allows the land to sustain more people than it used to be able to through innovation. And you might just wiped out your innovators. And so you might have more starvation going forward if the innovators just got unlucky. So,
I mean, we have
Thanos was wrong.
Maybe at one point he might have been right as the population was growing, but population has been decreasing now, and I don't want to say we're on the brink of like a population collapse, but if it keeps going the way it does, that will be a legitimate concern in the very near future. And it's so strange how I don't know, makes
well,
makes
if you like, he was never right, because as population reaches a certain level of education and stuff and advancement, then the rate of increase decreases tremendously and actually falls off. So, like, Thanos' thesis was always incorrect. It's too bad, because he could have been a really cool force for good.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like he was this evil guy. He just had this demented view of like, oh, it would have saved my family if there would have been less people, because there wasn't enough resources to sustain everyone. So I need to half the population of the entire galaxy. Okay.
I remember sometime in 2020, during the pandemic, I get an email because the government had until December 17th of 2020 to call me back in the military. As you do 4 years active, 4 years inactive. And 2020, I was entering my 4th year, and they said, like, hey, we need your help once again to help combat this virus. So they were taking volunteers first, but they were emailing everyone that was in this program. And I responded with the Thanos meme that says, "You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me." They didn't respond.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
That was.
I'm surprised you dropped the Thanos quote and not a what was the
Oh,
other?
I put the whole meme. I put like the picture of Thanos in there and everything.
It's so funny. We'll be talking about investment, and you'll bring up your callback is tremendous, Randy.
Thank you. I there was I see that on TikTok. I see my people on TikTok. They're like, hey, you ever mention a reference and someone's like, why do you remember that? Like you have a choice. Like, I don't know. I just do. And there's others out there like me. I'll get them on the show at some point. I'll get them on the podcast.
Slippin is right. There's no indication that Thanos was a socialist, but I've only heard that statement from socialists of like, oh, there's too many people for the resources of the population. If it were half, it would solve the problem. I've only heard that, and so because I've hardly seen anyone ever making that argument. The few times I have seen it, they were socialists, but there's no indication in Marvel that Thanos was a socialist at all.
I'm glad that they tweaked his motivation for this, because in the comics, he does it just to impress Lady Death. Like, he does it just to,
really?
He does it just so he could try to bag her, and he thinks it'll impress her. He killed so many people. I'm glad they changed that motivation.
They gave it a little bit deeper meaning. Okay.
Yeah, and then he wants to like kill Deadpool because Deadpool gets her because he can't die, and she's like, oh, So that was great. Anyway, Big A's asking about rate cuts tomorrow. Pump the market or sell the news? Can't pin down which way it goes. Short term, I'm going to say sell the news, and then we rock it a few days later. But that's just my wild guess. What about you?
Rate cuts are probably priced in. So unless it's a 0.5 point rate cut, that wouldn't be priced in. Probably it'll be a quarter rate price cut, and everyone's expecting
Yeah.
that.
There is a quote here, Comics and Crypto, or they had requoted Fanatics Collect, saying Pokemon has evolved into a $12 billion collectibles market. When Pokemon cards first hit the shelves in the late 90s, you could have imagined that those same cards might one day help fund their retirement. Since 2004, the S&P 500 has climbed an impressive 483%. Pokemon cards have soared over 3,800% in cumulative returns. For collectors, Pokemon cards aren't just nostalgic. They're investments that have outperformed some of the most powerful companies on Wall Street. And packaging dude, Fernando, has said the same thing will happen with our VeVe Collectibles. So I do want to preface this with some info. Most Pokemon cards out there are worth less than $1, because most Pokemon cards out there are energy cards. So it's the same thing with the S&P 500. Yes, it keeps on going, but most of that growth happens in FANG, it happens in Mag 7, it happens in all of these high-tech growth stocks. And that's what really takes the S&P to go full size. It's really a concentrated group of like 7, 10, 20 of them that really bring up the average. And it's the same thing with Pokemon cards. In this post they put out, they show a Illustrator PSA 10, which Logan Paul had bought for like $5 million a few years ago. Most cards are not that. In the same way, I think most VeVe collectibles, like I don't think the New Jersey Devil from the Kripkins is going to go crazy. I have a couple of those. I don't think it's going to go nuts. Could it do a doubling and tripling? Sure. And that actually outperforms a lot of stuff. But I think on VeVe, this is a different ball game than it was back in the day. You had people that were Gen 1ers and they just wanted to collect like the first generation of like the first season. You had people that just want to collect the first set. They wanted to stack Princess Bubblegums. But then at some point, they're like, okay, do I want my 18th Princess Bubblegum, or do I want to save up for Secret Rare Grogu, which is like $200? It's not a lot. I think time will be kind to the grails, and I think it'll show which ones really shouldn't have been stacked. I by all means, collect what you love, but I just don't know how the Loch Ness Monster from the Kripken set is going to retire you. I don't see that. I have multiple of them because I like them, not for any investment. Rin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, time will be time to the grails. Now, that's hard to tell exactly what will be a grail. There's some debate there, but some things won't do very well and some things will do incredibly well. We saw some of that in 2021, 2022, that certain things vastly outperformed some of the other things. So Todd McFarlane Batman was out the same time as I think it was 80 gems to buy it. The Joker was like 80 gems as well. And the Todd McFarlane Batman peaked at like 16,000. And I think Joker went to like 800 or 1,000. We'll see like disparity like that again.
Might. It says, read the Thanos win story. So awesome. He has Hulk in the basement as a dog. That is diabolical.
Thanos is super powerful being in the comics, right? Like crazy powerful.
Yeah. Even without the gauntlet, he's still pretty OP.
Yes.
There's a I won't never mind. I was gonna say spoilers for Secret Wars, but I'll keep that to myself for now. Panda said, hey Randy, I've been tossing my Pokemon cards in a box and I've stacked hundreds at this point. Are they worth it? It depends which ones you have. Are they graded? If they're not graded, and probably not, but it depends which set they're from, depends what year's condition. Population, so Celestials didn't tear open and destroy the planets. Maybe in the comics, but not the he just wanted to cull half the planet and then rest. That's all he wanted. Grogu Secret Rare has done well, and he only collected. Yeah, he's still, I think. Well, he was 200 last I checked. I don't know what he is now. We could check on that. Rain, in this while we're waiting here, and while we're waiting for like this alt season to kind of go off, I made a video the other day saying I'm going to have one last investment in crypto, and then I've been shoveling money at this for years. I'm just going to put it into other businesses that are outside of crypto now because I feel like I put in enough. What about you? Do you still think that, is it never enough for you? Do you have that insatiable appetite of always getting more crypto because your projects that you love are still undervalued?
What's funny is you're probably running to the exhaustion threshold. And that's normal at this point in the market. It's just like you feel exhausted and you're like, and I want to put it into other things. You'll regret that decision later. A good time to move it into other things when crypto is going crazy, when you really are excited to put it in again. And that's a great time to not be putting in crypto. But if it's 3 months from now and altcoins haven't gone massively up, it's still an amazing time. If they've gone 15 or 20 or 30 or 50x from here, it's a great time to be putting money into your other businesses and other ventures.
Just take Secret Rare Grogu, 320 now, so it's done well. Good job, Jason Pena. Good job. Sealed product I really like, especially for older sets, because they can't create more of those. Like for the newer sets, if it's a popular set, they just turn on those printers, they go burr. But the older ones they can't do that with. So that's why I really, really love these digital collectibles on VeVe, because they could release another Vader, Samurai Vader. Maybe they have another type of Vader they release, but you can't replace that scarcity of this one or the first appearance tag that you have on the first one. And they can't make more of those, which you might as well have a first edition tag on it. So
it's kind of like a 1955 Mickey Mantle is not the same as a 1952 Mickey Mantle.
Yeah. Agreed. Vivian Pokemon's important to trade up into faster horses. Crypto is the hurdle rate. I'd be curious to see which businesses you would consider outperforming blue chips. I mean, it's a gamble. I mean, you could have, again, you have businesses even in crypto that do really well. Like their businesses are performing exceptionally, and the attention's just not on the token because that gets hard. For most of the stuff that we have, Omi, for me, Omi, Devi, Definity, they're all businesses that are doing exceedingly well, but it's just not the time for the token yet. That time in the sun hasn't happened, where you have tokens like the cat that's done a 6x since April, and everything else is kind of the same. Omi's up a lot since April. I think it's up like 50%, 80%, something like that. But it's when push comes to shove and that all season gets here to legitimate businesses, I'm going to say Omi, Devi, and Definity are probably going to outperform any other meme coin, with the exception of like that one exception, like a certain type of robot unicorn fart dust, whatever that goes crazy.
That goes 5,000x just because the market cap was so low and it hit that trajectory.
Yeah. Big A brings up a good point where if you have that constant income, that constant revenue stream, then you can consistently put into crypto. So that's what I will do. Like in the next year, I'll exit out all my positions. I'll put it into something that gives that constant revenue stream. And then I won't have to decide, oh, do I buy here? Do I wait? Because then I could just buy every month. And it, so that's what I'll do for next bear market.
What I like about having Big A, that idea of having Big A on, is he's financially well educated. And one of the things that the school system lacks is teaching people how to use their money wisely. And so it almost kind of defaults to learning how to be a consumer rather than an investor. And when you're an investor, you think about your money differently, and you need to accumulate enough money to buy assets that those assets can then provide income for you, so that you aren't stuck at whatever job is the best you can get. And some doctors are even just highly paid employees that they're 1 or 2 months away from broke. Why? Because their income is high, but their expenses every month is high. True freedom is when your assets are providing an income that exceeds the lifestyle that you're living right now. That's true freedom. But they don't ever talk about that in school. They don't talk about it in other things. What I like about Big A is he's financially well educated. He did go to university and stuff, but his family was involved in real estate investment. So he understands the game. And this is the true game. I just think crypto is a shortcut, because if you're trying to play catch up right now and you're like, okay, I want to buy 7 houses, or I want to buy 4 fourplexes so I can live quite well, you're on a 30-year, maybe 40-year journey to try to get those and put those in place. If you use your money well in crypto, you can catch up to where you can then take that money and buy 4 or 5 fourplexes, and maybe with no debt at all, or maybe just low debt on them, so that by renting them out, you have a really good passive income, and your job is an option for you. And so I think about financially getting ahead, and crypto is the path for that all the time. That's why when I saw crypto, I was like, this is amazing. So some people are here because of the dopamine and the fun and everything. I saw something that has massive volatility, and volatility can be good, it can be bad. It's amazing if you're thinking like an investor and you're focused on the right things so that you buy low, so that you can then later sell high. And if you actually do those things, and then you have the patience to let it play out, that you are buying low and then you are selling high. This is our generation's chance to like catch up, to get ahead, because you're not going to get ahead now by investing in the S&P 500, which used to average 11% because there were way more people putting into it than taking out. But now there are far more retirees. There's going to be more people drawing funds out than putting them in, and it's not going to make 11% on average anymore. So how are you going to catch up? Because inflation is going between 3 to 15% per year. So where are you going to get the gains where you can actually go from not being rich to having enough to buy expensive assets like fourplexes? Well, crypto is the best game in town. But on the flip side, 89% of people don't do very well in crypto because they're not doing it right. They're doing the wrong things. And I have a specific way that I do it, and then I share with people to do it, because I think it maximizes risk versus reward, versus we're only going to have so many cycles, so that you can take some higher risks, but use research to mitigate some of that risk, so that you can get some big gains to catch up or get ahead. I know 2021 allowed me to break out of that early game where I was significantly ahead. That changed my life. I did take the risky position of redeploying all my capital back into the bear market, and we'll see how that plays out. And then after this time, I'll be buying some real estate or other assets that provide monthly cash flows, and I'll probably redeploy 50% back into crypto. But I'll be pulling significant funds out for that cash flow, so I can live quite well without having a job and have tons of cash flow coming.
I have unfortunately made commitments that will have me working for several years. The cat, Dashy Do, the I mean, I can't. I mean, it's fun writing, like it's fun building all this. But yeah, I have to. I can't just stop because like, oh, I'll work in the next bull market. I'll keep doing it. I mean, I'll do it on my own time. I won't be doing it from the time I wake up till the time I go to bed. I'll do it for X amount of hours per day, and that's it. Omi's 24-hour volume was 3.1 million over the last 24 hours. Rand, you like things that are undervalued. I don't know if Bitcoin is undervalued crazily right now. Do you own any Bitcoin? Why not?
Almost no Bitcoin. Functionally, like almost none.
Yeah. Same.
Really, because it doesn't have as much fluctuation. So when we talk about this, Bitcoin's massive gains are behind it. Now, if I were to go for something, if say Bitcoin is a great way to go from 100 million to 500 million over a 4-year period. It's an amazing way to go from 100 million to 500 million. It's not an amazing way to go from 1 million to 100 million. Why? Maybe over 12 to 16, maybe 20 years, maybe, but over a longer period. So in order to get those kind of multiples, like 50x or 100x or 150x, you have to be in earlier stage companies that aren't known yet. And you have to be researching for strong fundamentals that have a strong argument to me of this is good enough. I think the crypto space, when they find out about it, will go crazy for this. Then you have to wait to see how it plays out. I was right on that with Axie Infinity. My Axie Infinity investment, and I didn't even buy at the bottom, went 3,000x. Okay, I was right. When I was investing it, nobody heard of Axie. For forever, nobody heard of Axie and it felt like it was dead, and they might have considered it one of those dead projects until all of a sudden it wasn't, and it was going tremendously well, and everybody in the crypto space was talking about it. But I thought this idea of blockchain gaming was going to be big, and the Axie Infinity was the first game out there to have land on the blockchain, and they're really the first ones to have a playable, working game that wasn't absolutely terrible, and that did extremely well. So I redeployed into the riskier space like that, and then I diversified because some of those risky projects do fail, and that's okay. Like, even if 2/3 of what you're invested in fails, but 1/3 of them are in that higher, high probabilities for big wins. If they do well, you can still get way ahead when it turns around.
Agreed. Jason Pena has 2 degrees and a decade at Mag 7 company with real estate investment history. Never got ahead until crypto. Randy, the Decat is an investment in yourself. For the most part, because it's. I mean, anything can take off for no reason. Randy, tell a story where this one guy, this one CEO was in jail and the crypto did like a 3x, and it's like, what? This makes no sense. But yeah, I am betting on me with that and Dashy Do, the DDOO. The guy says, by the way, hey Wes, never said hi yet. Oh, meow. Rand, you like to play video games for invest. I mean, maybe just cool off as well, but also investing, because obviously you just talked about Axie Infinity, especially games that can make you money. It's rumored that you're going to have some type of blockchain in with GTA 6, and they have spent $300 million on water graphics. How excited are you for GTA 6, and do you think we actually get it in May of next year?
No, but if they do a good job with it, it'll become the number one game, especially if there's asset ownership in it. GTA 5 was amazing. They did such a cool job. So, like, of course, I was attracted to the business side of things. Like, okay, I'm going to steal cars and like had this garage full of cars and like selling some of them. And that was fun. Like, I played GTA 5 for a while but they don't really have ownership because you can't sell the items. I'd be curious to see what it looks like on the blockchain and what that entails. If they do a good job, so there are assets people really want to have in that game, it's going to become the biggest game in the world. And the amount of money that will cycle through that will be like, people can't even imagine the kind of money that will come into a game like that if it's done well and the assets are worth having.
That'd be great. I feel like everyone would be okay with the delays, because if they're able to do that, that'd be incredible. Anyway, so there's one thing I want to go over with before we bounce. A statistic I saw on the All In podcast the other day. They did a graph showing that an estimated 52% of 30-year-olds back in 1950 were both married and homeowners. That was 52% of 30-year-olds. Now in 2025, that is 12% of 30-year-olds are married and have kids. Is this because 30-year-olds are putting their money into Pokemon cards? Is it because of what does this mean for the economy? Are we waiting for boomers to die and millennials to inherit that wealth for that to happen? Is it because big corporations and BlackRock and ETFs are buying? What's the cause of this, and does this mean bad things for the markets?
So say that again.
Back in 1950, you had 52% of 30-year-olds that were married and owned a home. And now in 2025, you have 12% of 30-year-olds that are married and own a home. Is this bad for the market, because it seems that young people do not have the means to do this?
A couple things. Marriage is a worse deal for men than it used to be, or maybe it's been quite a bad deal for a long time, but because of the way divorces go in the US and Canada, if you're a man, the contract doesn't favor you. So if you're not getting a prenuptial, then you're going to find out why. The incentives get misaligned, so that over time, this person that you loved has financial incentive to leave you, and she'll be better off and you'll be worse off. And so it just puts extra friction on the marriage because the way divorce settlements often go. And so it's not a great deal for men, and men are realizing that. So that's part of marriage is falling apart. The other part of marriage is falling apart, or less marriage, is that women used to need men for survival. They don't need men for survival anymore. So they might want a man in their life, and that's a better reason to marry someone than, oh my gosh, I need to find me a man so I can survive. And so, like, marriage numbers have gone down. A lot of people in society are like, it's a horrible thing. And it's like, well, a great marriage is an amazing thing. I love my marriage. I love the person I'm married to. She's amazing. She makes my life so good. I was married to another person before, and it wasn't the most amazing time of my life. And so, like, marriage can be great, and you can be in a relationship with somebody that you hate it, and then you have all these things to unwind before you can even be single again. That's not a very fun place to be. So home ownership, different thing of, like, the truth is so much land is off limits, and the resources, like inflation, has just made it so land values go up because so much land is like, oh, you can't build there and you can't build there. And if you do build there, you have to fund this whole reclamation thing. And so it's made creation of new homes very, very expensive. So home prices have gone up faster than the overall economy. And so young people are having a hard time affording homes. However, young people, they have crypto. So, like, if you're looking to get ahead, Raoul Pal talks about this. Crypto is your avenue. So he says, don't F this up, because if you F this up, you're not going to get your chance to get quite ahead, because real estate was much more affordable before than it is now. You have to have a pretty substantive income in a lot of housing markets in the US and Canada, just be able to afford a condo just to get your foot in the door towards home ownership. I do think home ownership in general is a great thing. It gives you a bigger like vested interest in the country that you're living in, and you just think about things differently when you've owned a home versus just renting your whole life. I think it's great for society. I would love to see home prices come down versus what the average income is, so that more people can experience home ownership. I don't know how to fix that as a society other than like all this government land that's completely off limits because in 1890 it was put into some preserve or something. Yeah, you could fix that and make it buildable and sell it to some developers, and home prices would come down if enough of that happens. But other than that, like, I don't know if any government is going to fix that. You have to do what's right for you. And the best thing you can do is the young tend to get technology faster than old people do. So a lot of young people wrap their minds around what's happening with crypto better than their dad and their grandpa does. So their dad and grandpa may have way more assets, but the kid deploys his capital well in this and uses it well, he might end up with a far higher net worth than his dad or grandpa.
That's true. I don't know how this can continue, but I remember my father showing me his first paycheck when he started working at like the post office, first big boy job. And he said, like, you know, this was actually more than what my father made his last year of working. And I was like, oh wow, that's really wild. And then the first year that I was in the high risk lending business in 2017, which is first big paying job. Obviously, military is a big boy job, but you get paid peanuts. And my first year of the high risk lending, I made more than he did his last year of working after 30 years at the post office. And I just don't know how the next generation is going to be able to do that. Like, get past my last. I hope that's the case. I hope, like, if I have kids, which honestly I've been thinking about more and more. I don't know, the Charlie Kirk thing got me, and I was like, it's wild. Just his quote of like, get married, have kids, and stop partying into oblivion. I was like, well, I think you could do a little bit of both. I think you could still party a little bit. But it's weird how like to be a rebel now is to be like slightly conservative, like that. Like that's the rebellious thing to do. I was like, that's so wild. Because society is kind of just about partying and instant gratification. It's like, I don't know. I'll let you know if there's little Chavez's running around in the next couple of years. We'll see.
Him passing away make you want to be a dad more? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that and just the relative, what I was talking about before, that there is a chance that the population is not increasing the way it should, and it's in many areas it's going down, and it's like, well, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
So we need 72 little Randys running around.
That's too much. That's a lot.
You're
maybe like 2. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, anything else you want to go over before we bounce?
It's a good time to be in crypto. It doesn't feel like it. Feels like you've been on the ground. You've been kicked about 700 times. Your bags haven't pumped. I know in my private Discord, some of the people in my community, like, you know what? Altcoins have come up some, but I'm still 40% down. And it feels like you'll never be ahead. That's how I felt with this type of strategy in 2021 until suddenly I had caught up to what I'd put in. And then I was ahead. Then I was massively ahead. And it actually like dwarfed, my expectation became so neutered because I was so just exhausted through the bear market that I'd put some money in, and I was like, you know what? If I could just double what I'd put in, I'd be so happy. And it went 10 times higher than what I was hoping it would do. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, like this theory, this thesis, this way of approaching things worked, and it worked really well.
I had a phone call with Mike, tall guy that you met last year, and his saying like, maybe we have to, if we have to hold Omi another cycle, it's not the worst thing in the world. I was like, well, I talked to Rain about that on the show last week, and I asked him about VeVe users and marketing, what they can do, and I told him basically what you said is that just bull market will take care of it, and it made him feel better just because you're someone that has had experience in this multiple times. It's not like this is your first bull or bear market. You've experienced this a few times, and you know it's coming, just based on your experience. So again, means a lot.
This is my third rodeo in crypto, my third bull market. But before that, like, this is just a cycle market. So real estate does this. So it goes up and down like this. And when real estate's terrible, I was like, so not all markets are cycle markets. Like San Diego, LA, Nevada, like Las Vegas, Nevada, Phoenix, Seattle, Hawaii, Toronto. They're cycle markets that go up and down, like they over boom and then they over bust, over boom and then over bust. And I had been studying that in crypto, or excuse me, real estate for almost 20 years. So when I saw crypto, and then I was looking back, and about 6 months in crypto, I realized, oh my gosh, this is a cycle market. Holy cow. I bet you if during the bear market you just load up, that there'll be only 4 years later, because the cycles in real estate are much longer. 4 years later, it'll go crazy and you will make amazing gains. Sure enough, 2021, massive, massive gains. So I was like, oh my gosh, cool. I'm going to take that ride again.
Heck yeah. Can't wait. All right,
All right.
gents, everyone. Thank you for being here. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. We love you. This is great. Rain, as always, can't wait